I thought I'd start by explaining my role and how I receive intelligence. My job is to advise the Prime Minister and manage the Prime Minister's office. A key part of my role is ensuring he receives advice and information from all parts of government so that he can make the best decisions possible. This includes briefings from the National Security and Intelligence Advisor, the NSIA, and other intelligence officials. I am usually with the Prime Minister for these briefings. Sometimes we receive these briefings in secure settings known as SCIFs. That stands for Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility. All of our phones and electronics get locked up by the elevator and don't enter the floor, let alone the room itself. Other times, the NSIA will request that I read a document that is brought to me by a CRO, a client relations officer. The CRO hands me the document, supervises me while I read it, and takes it back. Sensitive intelligence is treated with the utmost care. There is a rigorous vetting process to obtain top secret clearance, which I have, and there are equally important obligations one must uphold to keep that clearance. That is because publicly disclosing what our intelligence agencies know or how they come to know it can irreparably harm Canada's national interests and put people's lives in danger. It can also threaten Canada's ability to obtain intelligence in the future because Canada is a net importer of intelligence. In my years in this job, I have seen a huge range of intelligence from all parts of the world. Some of it has been wrong, proven wrong, some of it right, some we may never know, or only with time will we learn if it's true. Even intelligence that is proven wrong can be useful. It can shed light on the motivations or the agenda of the source or a narrative that is being pushed. Intelligence often comes as fragments of information that then needs to be analyzed, assessed, discussed, to understand what they really mean. And that work has to be done by situating those fragments in a wider context of information. As the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs told you at this very committee, intelligence rarely paints a full, concrete, or actionable picture. Depuis 2015, notre gouvernement a renforcé les mesures qui protègent
Our government has strengthened the measures that protect our institutions against foreign interference. I can confirm with certainty that it has always been a priority and that we have undertaken concrete actions on this file. It is therefore important to take a moment to look at the work that we have accomplished. In its 2015 platform, the Liberal Party had promised to create what is today the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians. He, as an MP under the Afghan detainee issue under the Harper government, Prime Minister Trudeau noted the need for some MPs to have access to classified intelligence, which was not the case previously. That is why our government passed a bill to create this committee. For 6 years now, MPs of all stripes have received, with a top secret security clearance, examine classified intelligence, study it independently, and report on it publicly. And the committee is now working on a review to assess the state of foreign interference in federal electoral processes, among others. The threat of foreign interference has evolved since 2015. We saw what happened during the American elections in 2016 and the French elections in 2017. So to better protect our federal elections in 2019, the government established a public protocol for major electoral incidents. And this protocol was part of our cross-government plan to protect Canadian democracy, which was launched in January 2019. The protocol, which is administered by senior public servants with access to classified information on national security, determined that the elections of 2019 and 2020 were held freely and fairly. In 2019, we also established an office to monitor national security and intelligence activities, and the office will examine our security and intelligence agencies to assess foreign interference before and after the last two elections. We also created the mechanism for rapid response and the working group on security and intelligence threats targeting elections. Both of those help us manage foreign threats affecting our democracy and to counter them. As the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs told you, the tools to fight against foreign interference are more and more numerous. By May 23rd, former Governor General David Johnston will provide us with his recommendations on the matter. He will have unlimited access to classified documents to do his work. And of course, we already know that we will accept these recommendations.
The Prime Minister's office was told about specific intelligence and what we did as a result. I will do my best to answer your questions. At the same time, I must respect the law and the same boundaries as the director of CSIS and the NSIA did when they appeared before you. These constraints are exactly why NSICOP was created. But what I can say here is this. When we receive intelligence briefings of any kind, we don't leave any stones unturned. We usually start by asking a lot of questions. Questions like, how credible is the intelligence? Who else has been briefed? Who else needs to be briefed? What decisions are in front of decision makers? What actions have already been taken? What actions can be taken? And what authorities are needed to take them? Very often, they are not within the Prime Minister's or Cabinet's authorities. By that, I mean those are decisions for law enforcement or intelligence officials. And as you've heard from them about the tools they have available, like CSIS's threat reductions. All that being said, if there are actions to be taken to protect national security, we do not hesitate. Let's remember that foreign interference threatens all democracies. It comes from many authoritarian states, like China, Russia, and Iran. It targets all aspects of society, our communities, particularly diaspora communities, our universities, research institutes, all levels of government, and all political parties. It is not a new threat, but it is an evolving threat. It is a threat we will continue to do our utmost to guard against. I want to end by addressing the debate around my appearance today and whether I am the right person to appear before you. I am a consumer of intelligence, not the one who briefs on intelligence. The NSIA is the person who directly reports to the Prime Minister on these matters. On top of that, for all the reasons outlined today, these matters are extremely sensitive, and the law limits what I can talk about in this public setting. Ultimately, I have accepted this invitation because I want Parliament to work. I've devoted most of my professional life to getting people involved in politics, to run for office, to advance the causes that they believe in, and to make a difference in their community and in their country. That's why I'm here, and I believe why we're all here. Protecting our democracy is one of the most important things we can do and one of the most important parts of my job. Campaigns, politics, and democracy are all about people expressing their rights and electing who represents them. I will always fight for these rights and defend against any attempts to undermine them. And with that, I will do my very best to answer your questions.